Mr. Speaker, I need to address DEI, and to do so, I'm going to bring in some scientific genetic data. Our DNA is composed of nucleotides. We have 4 main nucleotides: adenine, cytosine, thymine, guanine. And these nucleotides, they match. So you will have and we give them letters, a G for guanine, a T for thymine, and they match to make a base pair. In the human genome, there are 3.2 billion base pairs. That, if we had to type it out, and they're all in one long string, and then they get coiled into genes and into our chromosomes. But if we typed up all those letters of those 4 main nucleotides in the string that they occur, because they occur at a different pattern. Sometimes they're repeated, sometimes there's 2 T's, and then there's 3 A's matching with their T's. If we type them out, a person would have to type 60 words per minute, 8 hours a day, for 50 years. If we uncoiled our DNA from one of our cells, and we have trillions of cells, and we place that DNA strand end to end, there are 2 strands that make up the DNA, it would measure 6 feet. If we did this for all of our DNA, the resulting long strand would be 67 billion miles. That's the same as about 150,000 round trips to the moon. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. But what is even more astounding is how the human genome has been conserved over the hundreds of years, the thousands of years that the human race has existed. Conservation means that genome is repeated exactly over and over with each birth, with each people group. In fact, if you look at the DNA of any 2 people in the world, pick a country, pick someone from the US and pick someone from any other country, their DNA is 99.6% exact match. There is only a 0.4% variation between one person and any other person. Out of that 0.4% variation, it matters about whether you have polymorphisms, you have something in your kidneys that's a little different than somebody else's kidney, or their heart chamber was a little bigger than somebody else's. But out of that 0.4% variation between 2 human beings, only 6% of the 0.4% has anything to do with the color of your skin, or the color of your eyes, or the color of your hair, or the texture of your hair. So when you take 0.4% and multiply it by that 6%, we only have racial characteristics in our DNA that make up 0.024% of our DNA. My point here is we are all Homo sapiens. We are humans. Just like the gentleman from the 53rd just stated recently, we are of one race. We are of one blood. We are all humans. And if we would concentrate on our commonality instead of this 0.024% differences in racial characteristics, then I think that we would find something that could sweep our country, and that is to treat others with dignity and respect and love, because we are all the same except for a very tiny difference in the color of our skin or eyes. If we segregate and polarize people based on skin color, eye color, gender, or whatever else is the parameter, then we actually don't get to see the gifts and the talents with which each person is endowed. And then we don't allow opportunities for them. We're too busy focusing on non-consequential physical attributes that are of the tiniest part of our genetic makeup. This doesn't help us to live together in fairness and compassion, but it actually worsens the problem. Our cultural differences are to be respected and they're welcomed. And when we treat one another with dignity, respect, and love, then it's easy to recognize the wonderful and good qualities in everyone. And then all people will have the opportunities to do whatever in life to which they are gifted and called. And we all have gifts and talents. DEI, no matter how well-intentioned, creates a wedge that segregates us and polarizes us. It worsens things. It doesn't bring resolution. It doesn't bring healing. Instead, we have to focus on treating each other with dignity, respect, and love. Focusing on DEI does not solve problems. Not recognizing our differences doesn't mean that they're not there. There is prejudice, there is discrimination that does exist. But the key of overcoming prejudice and discrimination is not to double down on our differences, but rather we must undermine prejudice with something more powerful. The empathy and compassion we all naturally feel when interacting with people and treating them with dignity, respect, and love. Mr. Speaker, I am so supportive of this budget, which does not fund a political ideology that polarizes and segregates us. The vote for this budget and all the wonderful things in it is green.